Thanks so much for your company. Let's now look at our stories. And the International Monetary Fund has released the much-anticipated $600 million second tranche to Ghana. This was announced at a joint press conference between the IMF and the Ministry of Finance last night. But the second tranche of the money has delayed because government initially was unable to reach a debt restructuring agreement with its official creditors. But after a successful assessment, the IMF Mission Chief for Ghana, Stefan Rode, says they are impressed with Ghana's performance so far.
Excellent news to discuss with the completion by our executive board this morning of the first review under Ghana's 3-year, $3 billion program. This allows for an immediate disbursement of about $600 million, bringing the total disbursements since the program was approved in May last year to close to $1.2 billion. In 2022, on the back of unfavorable global conditions, Ghana faced a severe economic and financial crisis with an unsustainable debt burden. In response to these difficult circumstances, the Ghanaian authorities have been implementing a comprehensive reform program aimed at restoring macroeconomic stability and debt sustainability and laying the foundations for stronger and more inclusive growth. Let me mention some of the reforms. To bring public finances back to a sustainable track, the government accelerated fiscal adjustment in 2023 and recently enacted a 2024 budget and revenue reforms that will further advance adjustment in the fiscal position. Budget sustainability is being achieved by mobilizing domestic revenue and by improving the efficiency of public spending. Importantly, the program includes and will continue to include efforts to protect the vulnerable. For example, the 2024 budget has continued to increase benefits under the existing targeted cash transfer program, the Living Empowerment Against Poverty program, the LEAP, and it also boosted allocations toward the school feeding program. To support adjustments and enhance the resilience to shocks, ambitious structural reforms are being implemented in the areas of tax policy, revenue administration, public financial management, as well as to address weaknesses in the energy and the cocoa sectors. To restore public debt sustainability, the government has also made significant progress on its comprehensive debt restructuring. The domestic debt exchange was completed over the summer, and an agreement in principle was recently struck between the government and its official bilateral creditors. Ghana's performance under the program has been compelling, both in terms of meeting the quantitative objectives, for example, on budgetary performance, but also in implementing transformational reforms to make the economy more resilient. Importantly, despite the difficult global economic setting, the authorities' reforms are bearing fruit, and signs of stabilization are emerging. Growth has proven more resilient than initially envisaged, and indeed we are revising our growth projection for 2023 from 1.5 to 2.3%. Inflation is declining rapidly. The fiscal and external positions have improved. Bank of Ghana's international reserves have been increasing, and exchange rate volatility has decreased. Notwithstanding the progress made in recent months, the road to full stabilization and recovery will be gradual. Addressing remaining challenges will require determination and steadfast policy reform and reform implementation. But today's news marks an important milestone in the road to recovery and towards building a flourishing economy that will benefit every Ghanaian.
Now, speaking at the news conference, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta assured of Ghana's commitment to seeing the successful implementation of the program, addressing concerns over government's growing borrowing from the treasury market. He says government will measure its expenditure to enable it to slow down on the T-bills.
It is with great honor that I can announce to you that earlier today, the International Monetary Fund endorsed the first review of our program. This is a resounding affirmation that the program is advancing steadily and our reform trajectory remains steadfast. Consequently, the endorsement has unlocked a $600 million disbursement from the IMF and will pave the way for an additional $300 million disbursement from the World Bank under the Development Policy Operation Financing. The World Bank will meet on Tuesday, January 23rd. In addition, we expect the World Bank to approve $250 million to support the Ghana Financial Stability Fund. These resources in total $1.15 billion will significantly bolster our economic recovery efforts. The government is committed to fully implementing the IMF-supported PCPEG, and we have put in place all the necessary implementation arrangements to make sure the program does not derail so we can fully achieve our intended objectives.
Away from the IMF and its related stories, the Central Regional House of Chiefs has affirmed its support for the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources for lithium mining within the region. This decision dispels rumors that the chiefs were opposed to granting access for lithium mining to Barari DV Limited, a subsidiary of Atlantic Lithium. Now, this was after the ministry paid a courtesy call on the Central Regional House of Chiefs to give details of the lithium discovery. Here is Helen Kai Ai's report.
The lithium discovery in Ewoya and other communities in the Mfantsman municipality of the Central Region has attracted a lot of attention. The Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources paid a courtesy call on the Central Regional House of Chiefs to begin a formal engagement with them and also seek their support. Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, George Mrekuduka, says contrary to speculations that the traditional leaders in the region were not in support of the agreement, the Regional House of Chiefs has affirmed their support.
But you all witnessed how enthusiastic they were and how happy they were after running them through the nitty-gritties of what is going to happen. So I'm excited, and I believe government will continue the engagement. It's better we also go to the communities and engage them. If they get to understand, there wouldn't be any hulabaloo around. So I think henceforth nobody could come around to say that the chiefs are not in support. The chiefs unanimously agreed and accepted that yes, they are in support of the lithium agreement, and for that matter the production of lithium. So it was an exciting moment.
So currently there's no obstacle in your way, sir?
Not at all. I don't see any obstacle. What I see is deepening the engagement and making sure that we make each aspect of the transition very transparent for Nananum also to be informed. That's all that we need to do.
Honorable, so the other processes that are left, i.e. the ratification and EPA decision, what timeline should be?
If Nananum, the custodians of the land, are saying yes, we welcome the idea, we welcome the agreement, we welcome Lithium Atlantic, and we want our people to have jobs. We want the prospects in terms of the 1%, which was well explained to them. I mean, Parliament, yes, they will go through the rudiments and make sure the right things are done. But I believe, as you see in the agreement, we have nothing to hide, and I'm a parliamentarian. I believe it will pass through. It will pass through in terms of ratification. So yes, it must, as enshrined in the Constitution, it must go through Parliament for ratification. So yes, it will, and I believe it will be passed.
President of the Central Regional House of Chiefs, or therefore Amuakwa Buedu the 8th, intimated how blessed the region is, and they are hoping to take advantage of the arrangements.
As the Regional House of Chiefs, we want to take advantage of this opportunity. We are not going to wait for lithium prices to come so low before we take a decision. We must take a decision and take it timely. So we have decided to take advantage, mine lithium for the benefit of our people. As human as we are, we may not have it perfect. It is new, and for every new thing, there will be challenges. We think we can address the challenges, and the benefits as we see now is worth pursuing, and we shall pursue for the benefit of our people.
CSOs have been raising concerns. Other people who are experts in these have raised concerns. You did not consult with them, just in a meeting and you agreed. Is that okay, sir?
Yes, CSOs, they have the reasons why they are saying that. We have been engaged by the ministry, we have been engaged by the Lands Commission. They have explained everything to us. The price of lithium used to be 8,000. Now it's It was 2,000 and now today it is 1,000. Do we have to wait for it to be 200 or 100 before we take a decision? And if we are taking the decision maybe a year earlier, could we have benefited from the high prices? We must take a decision. It will not be perfect, but it is far better than the contracts or the agreement that we have now.
Central Regional Minister Justina Marigorasan thanked the ministry and the Regional House of Chiefs for a successful deliberation. She hoped that the misinformation by a section of the Ghanaian society about the lithium find would stop. The Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources says the mining of the lithium is safe and arrangements are being made to ensure that the environment is not badly affected. Helen Nakai report for Joy News.
Now, the Church of Pentecost is urging Christians occupying chieftaincy positions in the country to leverage their influence for the advancement of development in their respective areas. 2 years ago, the church set up a chieftaincy ministry with the aim of guiding its members, while of royal descent, to govern their traditional areas in alignment with kingdom values and principles. National Chieftaincy Coordinator of the Church of Pentecost, Apostle Vincent Anani Dante, has been speaking at a seminar on Christianity and chieftaincy in Cape Coast. There is more in this report.
The seminar, organized by the Church of Pentecost, sought to help its members who are royals to exhibit the values the church gives them on a daily basis and make them count on their duties as traditional authorities. National Chieftaincy Coordinator of the Church of Pentecost, Apostle Vincent Anani Dente, says the Church of Pentecost is hoping to change the narrative by impacting on their members who are royals.
The Church of Pentecost, under the leadership of Apostle Eric Nyameche, has established a chieftaincy ministry that is in year 2021. And since then, we have been going around organizing seminars for Christian royals. The idea is to ensure that Christian royals or Christians who are royals are accepted as traditional leaders, so that when it comes to the person to mount the throne, one will not come to dispute the fact that he can't ascend the throne just because he's a Christian. So, but by so doing, what exactly do we expect from them? That is to rule as a Christian royal implies that the person rules with kingdom values and principles, so that he ensures that whatever that is a desire of God is also brought to bear as far as his or her leadership, traditional leadership, is concerned.
Some of the traditional leaders who are members of the Church of Pentecost spoke to Joy News after the seminar.
See, culture is dynamic. It is not static. Like I set example of in the past, when the chief dies, has to be accompanied with another human being. Today, because of dynamism of culture, it is no longer there. But I think anything that will not, serve as trample upon fundamental human rights of another human being, I think that one I don't see it to be what so bad. Yes, when Nananum and religious leaders, Asofo in particular, collaborate with the Nanum, it will help our communities and Ghana as a whole to get all the blessings that is installed for us by God.
Education Minister Dr. Yao Seiduchum says no educational project has been abandoned, but are rather undergoing improvements to make them operational. According to him, facilities like the E-blocks and day secondary schools started by the Mahama administration lack installations and educational accessories to make them sustainable and operational. As a solution, the minister has announced plans to provide dormitories for E-blocks and day schools constructed in challenging locations. Here's a report by Clinton Yabua.
There have been several calls for the government to commit to the completion of projects in several sectors of the economy. In the education sector, some E-blocks under the Community Day Schools project by the NDC government have been left unattended. Minister of Education, Dr. Yao Seiduchum, however, says some of these projects are in locations inaccessible to targeted beneficiaries. He is therefore assuring of adding housing facilities to convert them into boarding schools.
When you put the E-block in the middle of nowhere, in the jungle somewhere, if you don't add a dormitory block, you can't open, because students don't live in the jungle. Some are 6 miles away from the nearest village. So what we have done is to add dormitory blocks so that we can operationalize the E-blocks. So if you look at Dansia Peja, we've now opened, I'm told we have about 500 students now. And it was something that people would say abandoned. But with that dormitory block, we couldn't open. And Saura, same thing. Now we are getting ready to open Drobonso, same thing. Distance, very distant from the nearest town, with no dormitory. They cannot go to that school as day students. So we are working on them.
The minister was on a working visit to some schools in Ejoso and the Bosomtwi municipalities. He made stops at the Ejoso Adadientem Church of Pentecost, Ejoso Man Senior High School and Bosomtwi Girls STEM Senior High School. Dr. Educhum really treated the government's commitment to improving the education sector.
Advising the students to have a growth mindset, believing in themselves and knowing that everything is possible. So when I see the school, I know everything is possible. And I also want to remind them that it was not always like this at Ejosuman and Abosomtwi Girls. I want them to understand that it took somebody's vision, the vision of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, that brought us here. A situation where children coming from homes, underprivileged homes, also get opportunity to go to secondary school. With an enrollment of about 830,000 in 2017, now we are at 1.4 million plus. That is a great feat, but it took vision, it took determination of the Ghanaian people supporting the president to make this vision possible. We are in the process of distributing furniture anyway. Schools like Mansell's, a number of they've received furniture. So we are going to make sure that latest the middle of next week, Ejosuman will also have a fair share of the furniture distribution that we are currently doing across the country.
Headmistress of Ejoso Senior High School, Cassandra Oseiwusu, highlighted the school's challenges and was grateful for the minister's swift intervention.
The seniors want to sit on the monodecks, while the juniors, they don't want them to sit on. And at times it brings conflict between the seniors and the juniors. So it's affecting teaching and learning.
You said there's a relief following the intervention by the minister.
Yes, please. The promise he gave, in which I know he's going to fulfill the promise.
Reporting for JoyNews, Clinton.
And let's now touch on our lead story, where it's been 7 hours of calm in the Upper East Town, Boku, where gunmen opened fire on a bus carrying students of the Boku nursing trade.
Starting is the most important thing. So buy a Peloton bike or Bike Plus today and get 2 months free Peloton membership. Starting made easy with thousands of classes to choose from.
My name is Cody Rigsby. Welcome to your low impact ride.
Taught by instructors that take the guesswork out of working out.
I'm here for you every step of the way.
And Peloton Entertainment, so you can watch your favorite shows and live sports as you ride. Shop our limited time offers at onepeloton.com/deals. Terms apply.
With no fees or minimums and no overdraft fees, banking with Capital One is the easiest decision in the history of decisions. Even easier than choosing Charles Barkley in a pickup game.
We'll take Barkley.
Ha! First pick. Sorry, kids.
Yep, even easier than that. With no fees or minimums and no overdraft fees, is it even a decision?
Okay, here's the plan. Pass me the ball every time.
This is banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One NA, member FDIC.
In college yesterday, one student remains in hospital after sustaining injuries from that attack. Now, it was the latest in the series of hostilities which has left at least 5 persons dead in the last few days. JoyNews understands there have been no gunshots in the last few hours, but residents remain on the edge as threat of attacks remain high. In the last hour, Municipal Chief Executive Amadou Hamza Azanga, who also heads the Municipal Security Council, gave the following update on news analysis show Newsfile.
The thing is that we are politicians, and as politicians, there's always the need for us to be decorum. There's a need for us to be exercise some civility and also be very mindful of the things that we say on air and also in the media. All of us are putting our heads together to ensure there's lasting peace in Baku. The President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the National Security Minister, the Regional Minister, and myself, including the Member of Parliament, we are all putting our heads together to ensure there's peace in Bako. Be that as it may, if things like that come up, we are not part of, we are not first witnesses of the thing. We sought to rely on others for information. I am on the ground, and I always think that there's a need for us to always talk and collaborate. We'll get to ascertain whether or not indeed a particular incident happened or not. Yes, when this happened, I heard a gunshot about 200 to 300 meters away from my house. Indeed, the first point I would always call is the police divisional commander, and also I'll follow up a call on the military commander because they are the men on the ground.
Right, so you say you are the man who is on the ground. That's very good. And you label this as murder. That's even more serious. So tell us what led to the murder.
Look, I am using it for people to understand, ordinary members to understand. Good. Now, when I heard these gunshots, it is normal in Bako that I would always call to find out from these security captains. And it took them a few minutes for them to respond back to me. And then the commander of the military on the ground mentioned to me that, in fact, they had an exchange with some boys who were around Asaniya school. I said, what boys? Where are they coming from? It was, at that time, being a stranger, difficult for him to tell me exactly where the boys are coming from. But I said, what happened? And then he told me they actually fired into them, and they also fired back. And because of that, they were able to neutralize them as the term they always use in the military. And so it led to the death of 3 persons. However, they have called the police to come for them. This is exactly what the military commander has informed me on that said day. And so I am reporting to you based on the fact that I gathered from them. In fact, I went back to the police commander and equally got the same story from the police commander.
The boys were doing what exactly?
They were, according to them, they were firing back at them. They saw them and they were firing guns up to the soldiers. And they exchanged gunshots with them.
Yeah, so what happened, what led to exchange of gunfire? Something must have happened. What was that?
That I can't tell. I wasn't on the ground. And I'm telling you exactly what I was told.
Yes, those who are telling you, they don't tell you what led to the exchange of gunfire?
You see, in Baku here, what we know is that, and when there are guns fired around, usually and ordinarily, the 2 tribes, Mampushis and the Mampushis and then the Kusasis would always be at each other. And there are occasions, and many occasions, the military or the police must come in between them to separate the fight. Mm-hmm. And when they come, you cannot come and tell them, leave my gun, put the gun down. No. The only thing they do is to fire gunshots to disperse either the Mampushis and the Kusasis to run away back home. This is what they do here. Right. So if you come very closer to one of the feuding factions, what the military would do is to engage them. Because if there are gunshots, according to them, we have always asked them and cautioned them to be mindful of the things that they do.
Yeah, so over 48 hours, you still do not know what exactly led to the exchange of gunfire. You are the head of the municipal security.
I'm reporting to you based on the information that I gathered.
And it is important, we have to bring you live update from the area as we speak now. And Albert Sorry is a man on the ground, so join me via Zoom for more. Albert, thanks so much for joining me on JoyNews Room. Currently, what's the situation in the municipality?
Yeah, so since last night, we haven't heard of any further disturbances. From what we are told, there was reinforcement. The number of security personnel on the ground was increased before a few hours yesterday, and so because of that, it appears, it helped to calm down the situation. There were no shootings last night, as many people anticipated, because of the happenings during the day. Many people thought that there could be disturbances when it got dark, but fortunately that didn't happen. This morning we haven't heard of any other disturbances. So at the moment things have been calm in the last 12 hours or so.
All right, so in as much as there's been calm in the area, what's the situation like, the security situation, I should say, in the municipality?
So it appears that the people of Boko have become used to events like this. It happens almost all the time. And so once shooting is not ongoing, people just try to go about their normal activities. But they would be doing so with a lot of caution, with a lot of tension, because at any time, guns can be fired, and if you're not careful, you can get caught in the middle of a shooting. As you heard the municipal chief executive say to us yesterday, it has become very unsafe to live in Boko. So, of course, people are doing their normal Saturday activities, but you can virtually feel the tension in the atmosphere because everyone is on the alert in case anything happens.
Albert, I'm curious, what is the state of the student who was attacked yesterday?
Yeah, so this student is a male. He was shot in the arm and he was taken to the Presby Hospital in Boko. He was immediately attended to in intensive care. And our checks this morning revealed that his injury was quite serious. It was a bullet wound. And so he's still receiving treatment in hospital. The rest of the students, from what we are told, there were 45 students in the bus when it was attacked. A number of them were also taken to the hospital. They didn't have injury, so they were given a quick medical checkup, and the security helped escort the bus they were traveling in out of the town to where they were going. And so the only student who sustained a serious injury is the one we are talking about, and he is still receiving treatment in hospital as we speak.
Give me a sense of the economic activities in the municipality as we speak.
Yeah, so Boko is one of the busiest towns in the Upper East region. In fact, until these recent happenings, it was one of the fastest developing towns. Because it's very close to both the Togo and Burkina Faso. In fact, we have 2 or 3 borders at Polmakom and Kulungugu, and also around Mornori. So you have borders to Togo and Burkina Faso at all these places. And so because of that, the place is usually busy. People still want to go about doing their work. But because of the recent shootings and all of that, sometimes people even getting ambushed. Not long ago, there was a bus which was ambushed with women traveling across the border to Senkasi in Togo, when their bus was also ambushed and fired. And so because of these things, it is affecting economic activity. People virtually, if you like, are sitting ducks because you are traveling in the town and you are not sure when you will get fired at by someone. And so it is really affecting the economic situation. Apart from that, you have situations where government agencies like the Ghana Health Service, the Ghana Education Service, they cannot do their work. Teachers cannot go to school, and because of that, children have to stay at home. It's not, teaching and learning is no longer as frequent as it used to be because for safety reasons, people have to stay at home. And so generally every sector of the economy is affected by all of this.
All right, thank you very much, Albert Sori is a man in the Upper East region, bringing us up to speed on the latest situation in that municipality. And of course, we shall follow up on that as and when development unfolds in that part of the country. You're still watching Joy Newsroom here with me, Pius Kojo Baka, and we continue with the rest of our stories where we'll go back to the IMF story where some analysts are saying that, well, the impact of the second tranche program will have minimal effect on the consumer.
The price or the cost to ordinary Ghanaians, as you have mentioned, and in many cases, are poorly reflected in the IMF own assessment of how their program is going. Because if you look at the targets that the IMF is celebrating together with government, it really has no space for this person who is suffering. Typically has no space for the pensioner who picketed or whatever last year and all of that. But that is also consistent with the pathway to restoring macroeconomic stability. The understanding is that when you mess up your economy, as we did, and there's no dispute about that now, because the IMF report has also confirmed that Ghana's vulnerabilities pre-existed even before, in other words, before COVID. COVID only magnified it and demonstrated how weak, in terms of economic resilience, we were in the run-up to COVID and Russia, Ukraine conflict and the rest of it. So that is largely consistent. So, but if you look at, we will say it's also positive news because the country had gotten to its wit's end. The only way out was to reach out to the IMF. So it would be quite disastrous for Ghana to say that or to receive the news that even under an IMF program we are not doing well. That would just heighten the uncertainty. But to the extent that the delays in the approval of the first review, it should have been done latest by the 1st November 2023. And we had to wait all this while. And 32 million people or so, all that we're doing was to wait for IMF board approval for $600 million. But of course, we also do know that with that board approval, it also unlocks other funding from the World Bank. I think about $550 million. $250 million of that will go to support the setting up of the Financial Stability Fund. And then the $330 million or so, $300 million or so will go to budgetary support. So that is good news in terms of an important breakthrough for us. But is that sufficient? Is that enough? And the answer obviously is no. Is this manifesting in improved standards of living for the ordinary Ghanaian? Again, the answer is no. Can the ordinary Ghanaian identify with the flamboyant statement of the IMF, the mission chief, about how well the program is doing? The answer is no. The reason is that we are not yet done in terms of the corrective, painful adjustments that is earmarked for Ghana under the program in order to restore macroeconomic stability.
You're still watching JoyNews Room. Time for a breather. We'll be right back with more.
The best gift you can give a loved one is good health. The Love FM Fitness Walk is the only platform which prevents this exclusive opportunity to walk with your friends, partner, granny, kids, abongo, empna, obia, ukunu, skubet, etc. to stay healthy. Banks, insurance companies, construction companies, hospitals, schools, security services.
Starting is the most important thing. So buy a Peloton bike or Bike Plus today and get 2 months free Peloton membership. Starting made easy with thousands of classes to choose from.
My name is Cody Rigsby. Welcome to your low impact ride.
Taught by instructors that take the guesswork out of working out.
I'm here for you every step of the way.
And Peloton Entertainment, so you can watch your favorite shows and live sports as you ride. Shop our limited time offers at onepeloton.com/deals. Terms apply.
This is various fitness groups. Come and let's shake off the stress. Start looking for your walking kit, and let's hit the streets of Kumasi to de-stress, exercise, and burn some calories. You can also send us a minute video. Shijama Kakra, Yedede Kakra, as cooperating institutions, groups, or individual declaring your readiness to partake in the walk. Stay with Love 99.5 FM and Ishra 104.5 FM. and get more details on the walk or call 0245-594-425 for inquiries. Remember, Fitness Walk is on Saturday, 3rd February 2024 at the Kumasi City Mall, 6 a.m. sharp.
And welcome back to Joy Newsroom, and I would like to take you back to Boku, where the MP for the area, Mahama Yarega, is asking the military team on the grounds to explain what led to an escalation of the situation.
Eyewitnesses saw everything that happened. These boys were not exchanging fire with anybody. They were actually apprehended by the soldiers because they were sitting. They were not, one ran away, but the others were sitting there because if I'm doing nothing, I haven't committed an offense and I'm sitting at my base and you are coming, why should I run? But one of them ran. The three that thought that there was nothing wrong with waiting for soldiers to come to them, they got apprehended by the soldiers. They beat them up. The assemblyman came out and pleaded with the soldiers to release the boys. They refused. And then ultimately, they shot the boys. He's a member of the community. So when soldiers do that, you expect them to now come and tell you MC that, oh, no, we just beat them up, they annoyed us, and then we started to shoot them. Don't forget that these same soldiers, last year, they went and shot about 7 young men.
Yeah.
When I took them on, they issued a statement saying that they neutralized those people. I took the matter to Shraj. Last month, Shraj wrote back to me saying that the soldiers denied killing anybody on that day at that community. So clearly, they will deny. But take them to the community to find out exactly what happened.
Yeah, but Shraj cannot stop. Shraj cannot stop at listening to the soldiers and say, since they've denied, that's the end of it. Because it is investigating.
I'm just telling you the attitude.
All right.
Give me the attitude that they will deny. Even when they have committed the offense. Even in this instance where they publicly admitted, they said they neutralized, they used the word neutralized. And you heard the MC also say that they said, oh, they 5 young men who were engaged in the exchanges with them. There's no young man in Boku just face soldiers and be engaged in gunfire exchanges with soldiers. No young man will do that. Because these are professionals. They know how to shoot better than you. So the boys don't engage the soldiers. They don't. It is a lie.
But don't you think that you may be assuming too much when you say no young man, with such, completeness, particularly where we are told again about how even, is it a bomb or so was planted by ordinary people in the same area. So some young men may be capable of doing what you may not be able to imagine.
Let me tell you something. If the young men engage the soldiers, I will know. And I'm telling you that they did not engage the soldiers. I will know. And I will not go public and attack the military when I know that the boys are wrong. I've not done that before.
Okay.
But when they are wrong, the soldiers are wrong, we need to face them and let them know that they are wrong.
Right.
We need them there. We have called for reinforcement. We've called for the military to be brought there, and they have been brought there in response to our own plea. But then, you should not also become the problem. That is my concern. I'm not against the soldiers.
Right.
But I also will not allow the soldiers to just assume that when they get frustrated, then they should, unleash mayhem on the young people.
Meanwhile, security expert with the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center, Dr. Victor Doke, is calling for a change in approach by the security in dealing with the conflict.
And collaboration or coordination between even the state agencies that are on the ground there to ensure peace, i.e. the military, the police, and other state institutions. Okay? Now, the resources aren't there to build the capacity to train these servicemen to understand how to relate with conflict access, i.e. the Mampusis and then the Kusasis, the youth especially. Now, the political will somehow is lacking. We need to ensure that there's a political will to invest the resources needed involve the CSOs to come in. There are NGOs on the ground there. Most of the times you don't even hear about these NGOs except when there is a meeting, bilateral consultation that they are invited. But when you go to the ground, you need these NGOs to also be part of you to ensure your engagement with the community is there. We don't have the sustained engagement going in. Every time we start a process, then we lay back, thinking that when we send the soldiers there to separate the two sides from clashing, then that is it. But you still hear sporadic shootings. That tells you that the guns are still in the system.
I'm told the shooting is a daily occurrence, really.
It is. And from my research there some time ago, look, these youths have the weapons because one of the mistrust between the two of them. They do not know when the either side may
But Doc, is it not surprising for a militarized zone like this? How do the weapons get in there when they are searching every week or 2 weeks to retrieve weapons?
Right, Samson, you raise a very pertinent issue. The aspect of having the military all over the town, but still you hear shootings, and that tells you that army in uniform may be lacking some essential strategy. That is what I raised the issue of the collaboration with the NGOs. The field-based organizations over there know a lot about the grounds. They have interacted with the youth. These are the youth who are carrying the weapons. Don't forget we have the porous borders in. Okay? That also contributes to the inflow of these weapons. We have Kingsmen sitting in Accra sponsoring these young guys with either resources, funds, and the weapons. It is a fact. We cannot run away from it.
Meanwhile, member of the Parliament's Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee, Roxy Nelson Dafemako, says there must be punishment for those responsible for the 3 persons who died whilst in custody of the military.
We have a national security strategy document. If you read it, Boku features in it prominently. And the strategies drawn by the national security apparatus to deal with the problem. So I am surprised, even with all the strategies outlined in the document to dealing with the issues, we still have this problem. Why? Because there are no consequences arising when people commit crimes or offenses or commit acts that ought to be punished.
All right.
There are simply no consequences. These are extrajudicial killings. Before I got here, I had read the Honorable Mama Yarga has put out a statement.
Are you not also falling into that error?
No.
So these are extrajudicial killings.
Yes, but it is. But it is. Otherwise, you can get killed, I can get killed, and nothing happens. There has to be consequences. See, we want to create a situation.
Someone will tell you that this is literally a war zone.
It is not. It is not. We have crisis, but it hasn't degenerated to one of war.
Every home has guns hoarded. They can't find them when
they go there. Why are we spending millions of our state funds on security personnel to deal with the issue?
Away from Boku conflict, the tertiary students wing of the National Democratic Congress at the KNUST has decried the financial burden imposed on students by the current economic challenges of the country. The group says the imposition of the IMF conditionalities, introduction of new taxes, and looming freeze on employment makes life unbearable for the youth. Clinton Yeboah has more in this report.
The Tertiary Education Institutions Network of NDC has touted the viability of NDC flag bearer John Mahama's proposed 24-hour economic policy. They believe the policy will alleviate the youth from unemployment and create a more conducive space for youth entrepreneurship and financial independence. President Samuel Abuchi addressed the press conference on the restoration of students' hope through the 24-hour economic policy.
The lack of capital and resources makes it nearly impossible for young graduates to embark on entrepreneurial ventures, thus rendering the 24-hour economy a potential game changer in their destiny. I call on the entire student body to support His Excellency John Dramani Mahama's 24-hour economy. The vision of 24-hour economy to provide, which holds the promise of creating a conducive environment for jobs. job creation, innovation, and economic growth, thereby restoring the hope for our students and the youth at large. As we look towards the future, let us rally behind the vision of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama and the NDC, who have demonstrated a genuine commitment to empowering our youth and restoring hope in the face of adversity. It is time for us to stand united in our pursuit of a better tomorrow, one that is built on the principle of inclusivity, opportunity, and progress. The 24-hour economy will primarily not exclusively focus on 24 agro-processing, 24 pharmaceutical industry, 24 manufacturing industry, 24 construction, 24-hour extractive industry, 24-hour sanitation and waste management, 24-hour leisure and hospitality industry, 24-hour digital setup and business processing outsourcing, 24-hour financial services, 24-hour retail center, 24-hour transport services. Also, selected public institutions with large customer traffic, such as the Port and Harbour, Customs, Passport Office, DVLA, among others, will be part of the 24-hour economy.
Deputy Employment and Labour Relations Minister Bright Rekubrobe has stressed the need for people in privileged positions in the country to use their resources at their disposal to support community development. According to the MP for Chifohim and Lower Dentra, such a move will complement government's effort at developing the country. He was speaking after handing over bungalows for teachers and other educational and health facilities for the people of his constituency. More in this report.
As part of my campaign, I went to meet the teachers and staff of Jokwa Secondary, and I met the chiefs and elders. One of the key challenges was the issue of accommodation for teachers. So I promised them that in my own small way, I will try and assist. Today, we have a 6 self-contained unit teachers accommodation for Jokwa Secondary School.
MP for Chifohim and Lower Dentra, Bright Rekubrobe, explaining the need for people who have resources at their disposal to use them to further the development of communities.
A population of 1,300, and as we speak, they have only about 5 or so teachers living with them. That's not good enough. With this addition, more teachers will be accommodated on campus, and they can support and assist them with academic work, with whatever that they have out of the normal school hours.
From handing over of bungalows for the Jokwa Senior High School, where many of the teachers were facing accommodation issues, to cutting a sword for the construction of a pediatric health facility at Jokwa, Bright Rekubrobe believes once he represents the people, their needs are his needs. He says the construction of the health facility is beginning with an amount of 1 million Ghana cedis.
I must emphasize that this is not a common fund project. It is in support of Nana Akufo-Addo and what he has done. So putting me in a privileged position, a deputy minister and an MP, whatever resources that I get, I should think of my people. And that's why we did that. Coming to this facility, I also spoke to the health stakeholders. I have visited here personally. Already I have a maternity ward to my credit. And then I was also told that now accommodation is acute for people that come on admission.
Headmistress of Jokwa Senior High School, Dorothy Mensah, praised the MP for his intervention.
The school has made significant growth with facilities to accommodate students in the boarding house. We currently have over 800 out of the 1,300 students in the boarding house. The situation calls for proper supervision by staff. Unfortunately, due to inadequate staff accommodation, The school has less than 10 resident teachers. This has affected supervision and monitoring of academic and domestic life.
District Director of Education Lucy Jacinta Nkansa implored on the school to maintain the facility so as to attract other support from other people. The construction of the pediatric health facility at Jokwa has received huge commendations from the district health directorates. Dr. Salifu Bawa is the District Director of Health Services.
This is a very big project. It's an important project because we know that children are vulnerable group of people. Their immune system is lower. So sometimes when you put them together with the older people, they are at risk. So once we have a place for them, it means that we can focus and have good care for them. This place will also be good because then nurses and other health staff who come around and want to be trained, they now can be trained in children care and all that.
The MP about a month ago also handed over a new police station to the people of Jokwa to improve the security situation there. Abdallah Osman's report read to you.
Now, there is a growing pressure on government to suspend the collection of levies into the COVID-19 recovery levy into a special fund that will help the country prepare for health emergencies. The call follows significant decline in the spread of COVID-19 virus in Ghana and the declaration of the end of the pandemic in Ghana. More in the following reports.
At the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2021, government imposed a special levy known as the COVID-19 Health Recovery Levy on the supply of goods and services and imports to raise revenue to support COVID-19 related expenditure. As COVID-19 fades away, government has declared it is no longer a public health emergency, requiring less investment now. This is why various actors within the health space have come together to demand that attention be now shifted from COVID-19 to preparation for future pandemics. Leading this charge is the NGO Hope for the Future Generation. Cecilia Senu is the CEO.
What we are advocating for is that health is important. We all know that COVID-19 is no more public health emergency. And so it's appropriate that the government converts this to strengthen health and invest more in health to achieve the domestic resources and then the Abuja declaration for 15% for health. Because as it stands now, Ghana has not achieved it. Many African countries have not. And I think it will be good for this country to convert the COVID-19 levy into health to strengthen our health systems, especially immunization and other public health emergencies.
Also supporting the call is the Ghana Medical Association. Dr. Richard Salome is the vice president of the association.
For us, we are happy to hear. It's something we also, our president, Dr. Frank Shibbo, mentioned in one of our public lectures about what to do with the COVID-19 levy. The pandemic is essentially gone, even though we might still be monitoring for it. And so that levy must be repurposed for something. And we believe that if it's repurposed to protect our children especially, as well as to manage other health emergencies, since we've seen even in recent times the disaster due to the flooding and co, we think that this will serve a better purpose. And we are willing to support that advocacy to ensure that those funding sources are repurposed to and ring-fenced, because often when it gets into the general pool, it becomes like sugar in water. You can't find it anymore.
Member of the Health Committee of Parliament and MP for Techiman North constituency, Elizabeth Ofusu Ejare, says the committee has started debates and considerations to compel the government to rechannel the COVID-19 levy to other health-related issues.
I heard all the arguments about COVID levy. If you listen to our arguments, this budget debate, personally, I debated on the COVID levy. And I'm of the opinion, like I've shared, that COVID is almost over. The monies are still collected. These monies should be channeled towards our health needs. Even though